everyone, how's it going? It's Scott here once again. Welcome to CanGeek Games and Collectibles YouTube channel and our Facebook page and the CanGeek Fate Accelerated game. This is episode 10 of As Fate Would Have It. We're once again joined by my wife and business partner Chris, Anthony, and Greg, who at this point is going to be operating without a video feed, which is all good. We are going to very quickly just off the surface recap what happened in the last game, and we're jumping right into it from here. So guys, your characters were invited to spend the evening with the Brotherhood of Fate. After a large dinner and the consumption of some vast amounts of alcohol, the brothers retired for the evening, and you set about exploring their facility on your own under the cover of darkness. Later in the evening, the facility was stormed by associates of Joseph Uzma's. You are under the impression at this point that the bulk of the body of the Brotherhood was wiped out in the bloody massacre that was involved in a gunfight that took place in the facility. Brother Michael Jones, who is the leader of the Brotherhood, is nowhere to be seen. Brother Timothy took the three of you along with another injured brother by the name of Brother Andrew, and he led you to what you believed was an emergency exit where you were going to escape the facility from. However, when you got to that emergency exit, instead of leading you out of the facility, Brother Timothy pounded his fist on a brick wall a couple times, which revealed a hidden passage that led into a dimly lit room. He referred to it as the Brotherhood's safe room, and told you that you would all be safe there for the time being, vowing that the Brotherhood had been betrayed and that he would have his revenge. So, this is where we are going to pick up from. You are now in the safe room with Brother Timothy and a wounded Brother Andrew. The room is dimly lit. The best way to describe this room is it looks like Prohibition wine cellar. It's all like, rope lighting hanging from the ceiling where you have to walk around and pull on various ropes to turn the lights on, okay? You're in this room for what seems like a few hours while Brother Timothy paces about the room, muttering to himself about this harsh betrayal and how the Brotherhood will have its revenge. Now, where this game session is going to pick up from, approximately 3 to 3.5 hours has passed. You have all been keeping track of time because it feels like it's been moving very slowly. It is safe to assume that it's about 6:30 or 6:45 in the morning now. And Brother Timothy has been sitting there tending to Brother Andrew in silence for about the last hour. Now, out of nowhere, Brother Timothy says he's dead as he stands up and steps back from Brother Andrew. He turns around and he looks at the three of you. He says, "My brother is dead." And he walks away from the now deceased body of Brother Andrew. He stands there for a moment or two. You can see he is still in distress from everything that has happened over the course of the last few hours. He turns, he looks at the three of you, and he says, I don't think I have a choice now. This isn't what we planned. But there's someone that the three of you need to meet. He says, and he looks at Pete and he says, do you think it's safe to leave at this point? Would they still be here? Referring to Uzma's men who stormed the compound around 2 o'clock in the morning. So what do you think, Pete? Is it safe to leave at this point based on your experience?
I'd say it's kind of 50-50 right now. I was going to say, how much can we hear outside of the room?
Nothing.
Like, are we still here?
So no, you've heard dead silence for the last 2 hours approximately. Okay, the room itself, it's fairly well hidden. It's isolated. There's no way that anyone would have found this room had they not already known it was there. So, yeah, at this point, you're not hearing anything. It's been silent for quite some time.
Okay, well, I'm going to cautiously leave the room and do a little stealth.
Okay, so are all of you going to leave the room with Peter, or are you going to let him do this on his own?
Yeah, sure. Got nothing better to do.
Okay. Maya?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick close to the boys.
Okay,
Can't do much on my own.
fair enough. So all of you stand up. Brother Andrew ushers you towards the end of the room. He gets to the end of the room. He steps just off to the side of the corner of the wall, and you hear a click as he depresses a foot pedal that is just above the floor on the inside of that wall. Uh, you hear the click, and then you start to see little cracks of daylight appear in the wall as this hidden door starts to slowly open. Now it gets to about the 12-inch opening, okay, and then it stops. And Brother Timothy looks at you and all, and he says, "I'll need your help opening this. This will require some brute strength to push this the rest of the way open." So who's gonna give poor old Brother Timothy there a hand? Okay, so Heinrich is volunteering, Pete, and so is Maya. All right,
Well, that's where the muscle is.
fair
There's
enough.
none here.
Sure.
Yep, fair enough. So, Pete, are you gonna give Timothy a hand opening this door?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So it requires the two of you to really, put your shoulders into it. But, after a moment or two of really sort of pushing against the wall, the door opens wide enough that the four of you can leave the room. Who's exiting this room first, please?
I'll go first.
Okay, so Pete, I need to know how you're approaching this exit, please. Tie it into one of your approaches.
Okay, well, I'm going to crouch down and go very stealthy.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
So that's fine. You crouch down and you stealthily move out of the opening into this very narrow passageway. Off to the right-hand side of the passageway is the emergency exit that you all exited the compound through earlier this morning. Directly in front of you is the metal stairs that lead up a couple of levels to the surface, to the grounds of the farm. Now, Heinrich will notice will recognize these stairs immediately because he has previously used these stairs. The best way to describe them is they look like a set of stairs that you would find on a fire escape. So, Brother Timothy is standing there. He looks towards the direction of the compound, and then he looks up the stairs, and he looks at the three of you, and he says, "I don't know what we should do. Should we go back in and survey the situation, or should we get out of here?"
Go back in, of course.
Okay, so are you all for going back in?
Sure.
Okay. So you all agree to go back into the compound. He walks over to the door. Again, there is a foot pedal at the bottom of the door that would not be easily noticed. He pushes on it, and the security entrance door opens. Okay, so who's going in? And in what order, please?
I'm last.
So Maya's going last.
I'll go first.
Okay. So,
Uh,
very quick question here. Pete, since you are taking the lead on this, are you going to have Timothy go in front of you, or is Timothy going to fall in line behind you guys? And in what order do you want people to enter this building?
I'm gonna ask Timothy how comfortable he is going first. Then people can line up behind me in whatever way they want.
Okay, so Timothy looks at you in shock, and he says, well, I'm not sure.
Okay,
I mean, if you need me to go first, I will, but I'm not an expert like you.
I'll just go first.
Okay, so Pete's going in first, and then who's going in directly after you, Pete? Give me the order of entrance.
I was gonna say you guys can line up whatever way you want.
Okay, so
I'm
Pete,
last.
Timothy, me, Christian, or
yeah,
Maya.
no,
Let's
yeah,
go.
that sounds right. So Pete, Timothy, Heinrich, and Maya. Okay, so Pete, walk us into the facility, please.
Okay, so we're just leaving the
Panic room or the safe room, and you've entered you've had Timothy unlock the door, so now you are capable of entering the facility again.
Yeah. Okay, from here, I'm gonna ask Timothy. Okay, I think the smartest thing is to just get the hell out of here. What's the fastest way to an exit?
He looks back over his shoulder at the fire escape that you just walked by.
We should probably at least try to find.
He goes that way.
We should at least see if we can find, the boss and see if he's still alive.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys enter the facility in the order in which was just described, and you start making your way down the corridors. These would have been the corridors with all the bedrooms in them where people had been sleeping. Okay. It is obvious to all of you that something violent and bloody happened here. It really looks like a mass evacuation took place. Doors are left open. Rooms look like they've been ransacked as you're walking by the rooms. They just look like someone went through every room and tossed the rooms, okay? As you start making your way down the various corridors back in the direction of the cafeteria and the common area, you start to come across the bodies of several members of the Brotherhood who have been nothing short of executed. Okay? Timothy is in absolute shock and disgust as he sees the men that he once considered brothers left discarded in such a violent fashion. As you get back to the cafeteria area, okay, you will start to see the charred out, burned remains of other individuals who are not members of the Brotherhood. It looks like someone doused them with hot, fiery death.
I
So,
wonder who.
yeah. So you're back in the cafeteria area by this point. There's obviously you've seen bodies of members of the Brotherhood. You're now seeing the remains of what used to be some of Uzma's men. The remains of some of them are at the one entrance to the common area of the cafeteria that exited into the original room that you first entered into when you first came to this facility. At the other end of the cafeteria, where that hallway is that led to the library, you're going to see a few more charred remains because Heinrich was a busy, busy boy.
Finger looking good.
Tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken.
That is a chicken. Okay,
So
let's go.
Uh-huh.
you're in this cafeteria area now, and yes, there's lots of bodies from both sides. None that you immediately recognize.
Arm up, grab some ammo, assuming that they left it on the bodies.
If you
Unless the
remember,
bodies have all been stripped.
you stripped them the night before.
No. The bodies that the new ones that
You you
we
you
didn't
mean
come
you,
across.
you mean the Brotherhood?
Yeah.
No weapons.
Are any of them armed? No weapons.
No, they didn't even have a fighting chance. So it looks like to you, from what you've seen based on the positioning of these bodies, that these members of the Brotherhood were trying to make their way to the armory, and they never got there.
All right, let's make our way to the armory.
Okay. So the only two people who've been to that armory are yourself and Maya. Pete won't know exactly where it is. Timothy will, but Pete won't.
Timmy will.
Okay, so you guys ask Timothy to get you to the armory.
Okay, Timmy, let's go to the armory.
Okay. So he leads you through the hallway through that door, and you're stepping over the burnt remains of,
Crunchies.
some of Uzma's men.
Crispy crunchies.
You enter into this this area that you first came into, where upstairs there was that balcony that everyone was pointing guns at you from. Okay. Timothy walks over to one side of the room and he pushes on the wall, and you again hear a click. The wall then swings sideways, revealing this long hallway, very narrow, that you have to walk down. You are only going to be able to walk down this hallway one at a time, so one in front of the other. But both Pete and Maya, both Heinrich and Maya will already know this because they've already gone here once before. So you guys are going to have to make your way down that hallway. Who's going first?
Yeah, okay.
I will.
Okay, so same order as before. It'll be Pete, then Timothy, then Heinrich, then Maya. So, Pete, you walk down to the end of this hallway with the other three behind you. When you get to the end of the hallway hangs a sharp right-hand turn, and then there is a set of metal stairs, not unlike the ones you saw a few minutes ago, that you have to go up to get to the second level. So it's up a set of stairs onto a metal landing. You turn again, you go up another set of stairs to the second level, and you exit into a hallway there that will ultimately lead you to a larger room. Okay, so you get up there, and you walk down the hallway on the second level to this larger room. Now, when you exit into this larger room, on one side of that room, you're going to see a smaller room. And Timothy will advise you immediately that that is their surveillance room. That's where, they had cameras set up to monitor the activities in the compound. On the opposite side of that room, there's going to be two more rooms. Timothy will let you know that one room is Brother Jones's private residence, which serves as both his living space and his office. And directly next to the room is where you will find the armory. So you guys are going to have to decide, where do you want to go first?
Well, first thing I would like to do is check the surveillance room. In the surveillance room, I want to see if there's video footage of when, how the breach happened. See if it was an insider job. See if find out.
Yep. Okay. So is that where you're all going first, or are you going in your own directions at this point? Okay. So Heinrich is going to go and check the surveillance. Okay. Heinrich, head into the surveillance room. You walk up to the security monitors, which all seem to be locked. Every monitor at this point has a message on it that says, password incorrect, enter correct password.
Timmy.
He looks at you and he says, I honestly don't know the password. The password was changed on a weekly basis, and it was determined by the brothers who were stationed at this facility at the time of the week. So the password alternated weekly.
Yeah, but again, high command should always know what the password is.
Yep.
So
he says he does not know.
Okay.
So I mean, you can try and persuade him to try a few passwords and try and get lucky, or one of you, if you feel up to the challenge, can try hacking the computer. It's your call. So Maya's gonna hack the computer?
Sure.
Maya does not look like she's
Sure.
on board with this plan.
Well, I don't exactly have the skills to hack a computer. I am an archaeologist.
Do I have to do everything? Seriously? Do I have to actually do everything?
Well, if you tell me how to hack a computer, I will follow instructions.
So Timothy walks up to the computer terminal while you guys are debating over who's going to take a shot at this. And he says,
What can Timothy guess?
well, he
He
said,
would
so that's
more
exactly,
likely.
so that's exactly what he said he's going to try and do. He says, I will give it a guess, but I honestly don't know. So, incorrect password. Incorrect password. And incorrect password. So Timothy steps back from the keyboard in absolute frustration. He screams, this is impossible. He says, this isn't what I do. He says, I'm a pencil pusher. I'm an aide. I
An
don't.
aide would have this data. Hello, you're an aide. You look for okay, all right.
I don't know.
Any bodies in the room?
So, yes, as a matter of fact, you look around the room, and in one of the security chairs, there is a bullet hole directly through the back of the chair. You spin the chair around and you find the body of a now deceased brother who never saw the shot coming. So,
Check his pockets.
okay. Give me a clever roll, please, Heinrich.
4.
So you spin the chair around, and immediately Brother Timothy gasps. He's like, Brother Samuel. Brother Samuel has a gaping hole, like just right through his chest. Okay? When you look at the body with a little more detail, you see that there's dried up gum that's fallen off of him onto the floor next to his body. Timothy looks at him. He goes, he loved his gum. His gum.
Obviously, enter the password. That's the gum, the name of the gum.
So
Obviously,
you go through his pockets, and you don't find any gum in his pockets. But what you do find is you find a crumpled up gum wrapper. So his gum was like juicy fruit. It was all individual pieces.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's written on the wrapper?
Florida.
Obviously,
Yeah,
okay.
Florida. Yep. So you enter the
Florida.
Yep. You enter the password. You hit enter, and you see on the screens password accepted. All of a sudden, the entire bank of screens in front of you is now unlocked. Brother Timothy looks at you and he says, I can find the security footage you're looking for. And he sits down in a chair. And
This is the guy who couldn't figure out where the password was?
Yep. I know. He sits down in a chair, starts tapping on the keyboard. He enters in some parameters for certain dates and times. And then all of the monitors suddenly light up with security footage from different areas of the Brotherhood's compound. Now, at one point, you get to about the 2:20 in the morning mark. And what you see on the lower left-hand monitor is one of the brothers who is cloaked so that they can't actually see who it was. All you know is it was a brother. He walks to the main entrance where you originally entered the compound from, and he opens the door and he starts gesturing to have people come in. And it's at that point that you see Uzma's men start to enter the compound. Now, when the last one comes through the door, they hold open the door for this brother and they point him to exit the compound. So he walks out of the compound and the door slams behind him. And then the rest, as you now know, is history. There was a bloodbath after they entered the compound.
Backtrack the video to find out where this brother came from.
Okay. So,
because he's got to have entered. So if he was in one of the I don't know the individual suites for the brothers, he would have walked out of one of them. Which one was it?
That's right. So, give me a clever roll.
3 + 1.
Okay. So, takes you about 5 minutes of explaining to Timothy what you want him to accomplish for you. He ultimately accomplishes it. It takes him about another 15 minutes to trace the root of this individual. And when he finally realizes who it was, he's absolutely aghast. So this individual was the brother who immediately objected to your presence when you first arrived because he was involved romantically with one of the other brothers that somebody neutralized on a library mission. So Timothy is absolutely distraught now at realizing who it is that betrayed them.
So what was the guy who didn't want us here in the first place?
Exactly.
Bastard.
Yay, that is such a horrific revelation. I could not have believed it myself.
Uh-huh. So you know who let them in now.
Yeah, who let the dogs in? Yes. All right, well, at least we know.
Yep.
And then next logical thing to do, check if check if there are any survivors.
Okay.
Obviously,
So
B, check to see if there's anyone who's still running around the facility that is one of Uzma's men, and check to see if the boss is still alive.
okay. So what order do you want to accomplish this in?
Well, we can do most of that stuff on the screen right now.
Okay.
But someone has to go and check to see if Johnny's still alive.
Okay. So
yeah.
you guys ask Timothy to let one of you sit down and do your research on the monitors. All I need to know at this point is who's doing the research. Who's gonna?
Do I have to do everything?
I have no idea. That's between you and your party.
I was gonna say that's a Heinrich job. Or
Okay.
the
Fine, I'll sit down and I'll do it.
So Heinrich, you sit down at the computer and it takes you about 5 or 10 minutes to survey all of the surveillance cameras, and you ultimately determine that yes, the compound is now empty. Uzma's men have, long since departed. While the three of you are sitting there, or while Heinrich is sitting there and the two of you are watching from the background, you suddenly hear, "Ah!" Timothy is screaming. He has absolutely lost it. So, Pete, do me a favor. Give me a quick roll, please.
Okay. 3.
Okay, you look over your shoulder as soon as you hear the screaming to discover that Timothy has quietly left the room. The screaming is coming from outside of the security office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Of course.
So, the screaming continues.
Hello, aren't we going to respond to this in any shape, way, or form?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go take a look at this.
So you exit the security office into the larger area on the upper level, and across from the security office, you see an open door. You walk into the room in question where the screaming is coming from. This would be the personal residence of Brother Jones. Brother Jones is in the office, hanging from a wall. They took daggers and they quite literally crucified him. They, suspended him from the walls by hammering daggers through both of his hands. And then, Pete, give me a clever roll, please.
Same thing at 3.
Okay. Your past
Oh,
experience.
sorry, I won one. Sorry.
Okay.
Reading the wrong stat.
How many fate points do you have right now?
I have 3, and the roll beforehand was a 1 too. Sorry, I was looking at my.
Okay, so you can either re-roll that or accept it. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna re-roll.
Okay.
So I got 2 fate points left. A 4.
Perfect. So Pete, the moment you look at Jones hanging from the wall, you immediately recognize this. He wasn't just crucified; they tortured him for information. And Timothy is there, kneeling on the floor in front of Jones' body, almost like he's praying, sobbing uncontrollably and screaming, "This can't be happening, this can't be happening." So, what do you guys want to do?
Yeah, let's get the hell out of here.
Okay. So, you go to get Timothy to his feet. He quickly tears his arm away from you, and he just continues to have an emotional breakdown. It takes him a minute or two to start to calm himself down. He pushes himself to his feet. He turns around and he says, "Now more than ever, I have to take you there."
Where?
He looks at you. He says, "Brother Jones told us to trust you. He said that anything that happened was as the fates would have it. The truth is, Brother Jones was always one to believe in blind devotion. We were not all sold on his beliefs. Brother Jones may or may not have told you we know where Skuld is because we're the ones that sent her into hiding. We have no way
Yeah,
of
but we don't know where the amulet is.
He looks at Maya directly and he says, "Maybe you do."
We do? Maybe Skuld has it. I don't know. I've been looking for it just as hard as everyone else.
Timothy, he's still visibly distraught, and you can tell that he's, barely holding it together, but now his entire tune has changed, and he is insisting that you all need to get out of here as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you want to handle this? Do you want to take his advice and leave this compound? Do you want to go and see if there's anything that you can procure within what's left of the Brotherhood's armory, or do you want to do something else?
Take a look in the armory. What
Yeah,
else is
take a
there?
look in the armory. Oh,
Okay.
grab a gift bag before we leave.
Grab a gift bag before you leave. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
a quick look and we need to get out of there.
Okay, that's fine.
So we have black duffel bags we can fill up.
Okay, that's fine. So, you leave Jones's residence. You go next door to go into the armory. Timothy advises you that you'll open the door. There will be a small hallway to walk down, which will emerge into a larger room that should be loaded with firearms and ammunition. Now, who's going through the door first?
I will.
Okay. Pete, give me a clever roll, please.
2.
Okay. you go to turn the doorknob to open this door, and you hear a very strange clicking sound as you start to turn the doorknob.
This is into the armory?
This is into the armory.
Okay, do I... the clicking sound, is it a gun loading?
Doesn't sound like a gun loading, but it almost sounds like some form of ammunition or artillery
Is the
priming
was the
itself.
door booby trapped?
Wow, that's generally the consensus here, yes.
Yeah.
So you open it and something automatically fires, kind of
Well,
thing.
well, yes, and that's the whole point. Pete is going to recognize this as the sound of some form of booby trap on that door. The only problem is it's on the other side of the door, so without actually opening that door, you're never going to know what it is.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to take a good old brother Timmy and head out the door.
Yeah.
We're going to go stand over here.
How about we just leave?
In my...
Unless we can get our hands on a bulletproof vest from one of
Really?
the other bodies.
So the problem you're
One
going
of Uzma's people.
So listen, the
What?
problem, strictly out of game here, the problem that you're going to run into is Pete's turned that doorknob and he's heard the clicking sound. He will
It's too late.
he will recognize it as being
Oh, okay.
something, okay? But here's the thing.
Run.
He's not going to know what it is. It could be a gun priming on the other side of the door. It could be a grenade with the pin about to fall out. Okay? The only way you're going to find out now is to try and open the door the rest of the way and hope.
How about we just close it and run? Because whatever it is going to go off regardless.
Well, I suggest everybody run, and I'm going to try to turn back the handle to...
Ooh, the
Close it.
hero.
Okay.
But he has
So,
no choice.
Actually, where's Timmy? Timmy, get in here.
Poor Timmy. Leave him alone.
Timmy fell down the well.
Timmy was the first one out the door. You look over your shoulder and he's already gone.
Booking it.
I'm not built for this.
Yeah.
So, he's advised that the two of you run and he's going to try and close the door. So, Maya and Heinrich, both of you give me a quick roll, please.
Oh, quick roll. Oh.
What's my quick? I think my quick is 2
Ooh,
plus.
Jeez. Hold on.
Oh.
I lost my
Will
die.
you not do that? I hate ads.
Okay, so
2.
2?
I think. My quick should be 2.
Okay, give me 1 sec. Let me just confirm what I have for a quick for you. So your quick is a 2, yes.
He's 1 and I rolled a 1. So
Okay, fair enough.
so do I make it?
Pete, give me a quick roll, please.
Okie dokie.
So, Christian, you're kind of frozen there.
2.
I'm going to re-roll this. Spend a fate point. Exact same thing, a 2.
Sounds paused.
Oh,
there you are.
Okay. So, Maya has rolled a 2, Heinrich has rolled a 2, and Pete road A2. So Maya and Heinrich turn around at Pete's advice and start to quickly make their way towards the other side of the room. Here's the thing, though. No sooner did Pete say that than Pete, you heard "tink." Now, give me a clever roll, please.
Ooh. A -1.
Um,
I'm going to blow my last fate point.
yeah.
Ooh, that was even worse. A -2.
Okay, the next thing you hear is whoomp, and it sounds like something hitting the ground on the other side of the door.
Fire in the hole.
Run, it's a bomb.
Heinrich, did you scream "fire in the hole"?
Yep.
Pete, run.
Yep, I do.
Fast.
Okay, so you start to run like your life depends on it, because quite frankly it does. You make
Yes, yeah.
you make it about 15 feet, and then you hear whoop, boom. Give me a quick roll, please, Pete.
A 4.
Okay, you hit the ground just in time to see what used to be the door to the armory go flying across the room, just nearly missing your head as it lodges itself into the wall on the other side of the room. So yes,
Oops.
the door was booby trapped, absolutely. You roll over onto your back, you look up, and all you see is flames billowing from where the door used to be in the armory. So whoever rigged this trap, not only did they rig it with some form of explosive on the other side of the door, but they rigged it in such a way that they used all the ammunition in the army to add to the power of that explosion. Pete, give
So
me a clever roll, please.
Three.
You immediately recognize this. You've only ever seen this type of trap set once before. And the name that immediately pops into your head is Brian Landry.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's nothing left of the armory, and you know this now. There's nothing left of the armory for you to survey. Brother Timothy is at the other end of the room, standing on the other side of the door near the stairs leading back downstairs. And he's crouched almost in a fetal position with his arms over his head like this as that explosion went off.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Yep. So, sound piece of advice. Now is a good time to get out of there.
get out.
Now, question for the three of you. How are you exiting the compound? And here's what I mean. Are you going back up the way you originally entered into this makeshift barn? Or are you going to work your way back to the other end where the emergency exit was?
Work the way back to the other end.
Okay. Fair enough. So you work your way back through the compound, down the stairs, through the cafeteria, through the sleeping area, over bodies here, there, and everywhere to the other end of the compound. And you exit to where the safe room was again. And on the opposite side are the stairs that lead up a couple levels to the surface. I'm going to assume that you're not making any side stops. You're heading right for the surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you get up to the surface, and Heinrich had moved the car. So remember the layout of the surface here. You have this facade of a farmhouse in the center. You have the barn off to one side behind the farmhouse. And then off to the other side, you're surrounded by fields of, corn and stuff like that. Heinrich, where did you move the car to? Because originally you parked it in front of the house.
Mm-hmm. Parked it in the barn, but
You parked it in the barn. Okay.
mhm.
So you've got to make your way back around to where the barn is. So when you exit on the surface, you've exited just behind the farmhouse. Okay? So you look around, you survey the area. Uh, there doesn't seem to be any activity on the surface that you can see. So are you just going to make a move on the car now?
Well, examine the car.
Okay, well, you're going to have to get to the
For
car.
all we know, well, yes, work toward the car.
Okay. So there's nothing preventing you from getting to the car. So you get to the car, which is parked in the barn. Okay.
Examine it. Look underneath. See if there's any explosives attached.
Okay. Give me who's doing the examination first, and
I'll do it.
specifically, what are you looking for?
Bomb.
You're looking
Anything that wasn't there when we left.
You're looking for a bomb. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a clever
Bomb
roll.
tracking device, GPS.
Okay. Give me a clever roll.
-1, so I'm at 2.
Okay. Okay. Takes you about 20 minutes of prowling around the undercarriage of the car and, checking under the hood to make sure nothing's been wired into the engine or anything like that. You don't find any explosives on the car. However, when you get to the back of the vehicle, you're prowling around inside the wheel wells of the vehicle and you find a tracking device, very tiny device, snugly positioned in the wheel well of the back right hand side of the vehicle. Pete, give me a clever roll, please.
3.
Heinrich pulls this tracking device out from the wheel well and he says, "Look what I found," very proudly. You take a look at it and you immediately recognize this tracking device as being the preferred tracking device of one Mr. Brian Landry. So you honestly have no doubt that either Uzma is working directly with your former friend, or it's even possible that Landry may have been on site last night. Okay, so the vehicle is now secure. There's no explosives, no other tracking devices on it. What's your next step here, folks?
Get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Well, Timmy, where do we go?
Yes, he knows the location we're supposed to be going to, so where Skuld is.
So he asks if any
Take us there.
He asks if any of you have a piece of paper that he can use, a pen and paper.
Yeah, open up the doctor bag, pass some paper.
Okay. So so Heinrich hands Timothy a piece of paper on a pad with a pen. Timothy sits there and he starts scribbling on the piece of paper for a minute or two. He stops. He looks up. He looks around at the ceiling at the barn like he's trying not to make eye contact with anyone. Then he looks at the three of you very intently for a minute. Then he looks back down at the pen and paper and he starts writing a little more. and you're pretty sure that you heard him mutter something that sounded like, "Fates forgive me." He continues writing, tears a piece of paper off, and he thrusts it into Heinrich's hand. Heinrich, you look at the piece of paper. He scribbled an address on the piece of paper. Now, this is a fairly well-known address. All of you would recognize this address immediately. It is the address for one of the most posh, prominent, high-class hotels in the city that you all just came from. Okay? Like, this is 5-star accommodations, the address that he scribbled on the piece of paper. He says,
Okay,
"Get
so
up."
hold on. Did you not say Timothy said something along the lines of "Please forgive me"?
Something
And we
along.
supposedly
So,
heard him.
no. You think you heard him, and it sounded like, "Fates forgive me." But
Oh,
you,
fates,
but but
forgive me.
but you can't be 100% sure. So now that you have the address, he looks at the three of you and he says, "That's where we need to go."
Okay.
Okay? So y'all get into the vehicle. All right, so Heinrich's driving. So Heinrich, you start to pull out of the barn. You're going to have to make a right-hand turn to drive around what can only be described as a roundabout in front of this farmhouse to exit back out of this land off of this property. Now, when you come around the front of the farmhouse, I need each of you to give me a clever roll, please.
Clever roll.
4.
So
Say
it's
all
a
of us?
1.
Yep, all of you.
1.
Okay, hold on. Clever 3. So I'm at 4.
Okay. So, between Heinrich and Maya, who has the higher quick plays?
I have quick 2.
My quick is 1.
Okay, so Heinrich, you're going to see it first. As you're driving around this roundabout by the farmhouse, you see another body that has been pinned to the front of the farmhouse the same way that Michael Jones was. So the body's been crucified.
Yep. Of course.
Yeah, they've nailed this individual to the front of the farmhouse. His clothing has been torn open at the front, and without even getting out of the vehicle, it's obvious that there has already been, there's visible signs of aggressive torture on this individual as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Heinrich, give me another clever roll, please.
3.
From the driver's seat of the car, you will immediately recognize that this used to be Clint DeFrey.
Oh no.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Yep. So poor old Clint.
He's dead.
Yeah,
Next.
He's
He had
been,
his chance.
he's had his chance. He's been nailed up. Okay.
Hey,
So,
he could have joined us, man. He
yep.
chose not to. It's his
Nope.
problem.
That's true. He could have. So,
Yeah.
you're leaving the farmland, and it'll take you approximately 45 minutes to drive to this address that Timothy has provided you with. Are you going directly there? Are you making any stops along the way?
Sure, let's go directly there.
Okay, and
We're armed. I got my doctor bag. We're good.
You're armed, and I've got my doctor bag. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to say that there is absolutely nothing eventful that happens as you're driving back into the city. Okay? You get downtown, which is where this hotel is going to be located. The hotel itself offers valet parking should you wish to take advantage of it. There's also public parking just across the street and down a little. Um, so you're going to have to decide what do you want to do with this vehicle once you arrive at the hotel.
Just bring it into the parking lot.
Okay, fair enough. So you pull into the parking lot with this vehicle. You park it again, absolutely nothing going on. You get out of the vehicle. There's a couple different entrances that you can take into this hotel. You can go through the front door, you can go through the back door, or you can
Back door.
back door. Fair enough. All right. So the three of you walk around the back of the hotel, and you enter through the back door. Fairly busy morning in this hotel. People checking in, people checking out. Typical hotel environment. There seems to be a lot of activity going around the front desk. Some very snobby looking woman in furs is standing at the front desk and she's pounding her fist on the desk, screaming at one of the employees behind the desk that this won't stand and she won't tolerate it, and wait until management hears about this. Now, as you enter the facility, I need each of you to give me a clever roll, please.
3.
Clever.
4.
4.
Okay, fair enough. So Maya and Heinrich both have the. I know what your quicks are, so Heinrich will again see this first. So Heinrich, this woman in the furs is screaming at this employee who just seems to be absorbing it all and turning a deaf ear to it like, this job doesn't pay me enough for this shit. And they immediately see the four of you walking across the lobby. He stops dead in his tracks. He now starts paying a lot more attention, except he's not paying attention to the woman in the furs. He's paying attention to the four of you. He turns around, he looks at the woman in the furs. He says, "I'm so sorry, ma'am. Whatever you say, we'll get that taken care of for you immediately." And then he goes back to tapping on a keyboard to try and appease this very angry client. Timothy looks at all of you and he says, "We need to go upstairs. We're headed for the penthouse.
Of course.
This elevator over here, if you please." And he ushers you towards an elevator.
It's a trap.
Well, how do you want to handle that? Do you want to approach this differently, or do you want to get on the elevator?
Best way to spring a trap is from the front.
Okay, so you're getting on the elevator. Okay,
With Timmy.
that's fine. So
Okay, Timmy, you go first.
that's fine. Timmy gets on the elevator first. You all get on with him. Heinrich, do you advise everyone of what you just saw, or are you?
What?
They didn't see this, right? Like you're the only one that caught it.
That caught the fact that the clerk at the front just started panicking and typing on his
Yep,
on his computer.
you're the
Well, of course,
only.
he's sending a message to he's probably sending a message to Dufresne or whatever. Doesn't matter.
So you're the only one that caught it. So are you going to advise anyone of this?
Sure, tell everybody.
Okay, so you get on the
It's a trap.
Okay, he tells the two of you it's a trap. So Timothy gets on the elevator. He pushes the penthouse button. The elevator doors close. Okay. Elevator.
Push the button that's just underneath penthouse, please.
That's fine. So elevator starts going up. Heinrich says, "You know this is a trap, right?" And Timothy immediately looks at you and goes, "What? What do you mean? How do you know?"
How do we get around it if it's a trap?
Well, I hit the floor just beneath the penthouse.
And then how do you get to the penthouse? You're taking the stairs?
Take the stairs.
Okay.
Well, because they're going to have guards right outside or
You're
something.
still heading into the trap.
Nope, not by the front door.
I'll walk behind you guys. You stay at the front.
So Timothy is still trying to understand what makes you think it's a trap.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Okay.
So explain it to the poor guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
Why? Oh, the clerk at the front desk panicked the moment he saw us. It's obvious. It's a trap.
Yes, I know, but Timothy doesn't know that. Anyway,
Okay.
let's move on.
That's fair.
Well, tell Timmy.
So
The concierge is in on it.
After you explain that to Timothy, he goes, "Yes, you're right, he is. He's in on it with us. He works for the Brotherhood."
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
He's
been
betrayed
bought.
you.
He's been bought.
Okay. That's fair.
So yeah,
So Timothy is not convinced of that. He
that's
starts
fine.
he tries to explain to you that logic doesn't hold true because the concierge knows that the Brotherhood has a high value asset in the penthouse, and if he had been bought, then why wouldn't Uzma have just stormed the hotel? Now that's fine though.
Uzma doesn't want her. Uzma wants the pendant.
So in the meantime, while you're listening to Timothy try and convince you of otherwise, you get to the floor just below the penthouse, and the doors of the elevator open. There's very little activity on the floor. When the elevator doors open directly in front of you, you see this nice glass mirror, a little table with some greenery on it, and then signs directing you in the various directions of hotel rooms on that floor. So you can exit the elevator now.
We exit the elevator, and then of course, what do? First, a can of smoke, pink from my doctor bag.
Go.
Toss the can of smoke into the elevator, and then the next thing to do is, you remember the how do I describe it? The a guy to go real fast. Gas.
Yep.
Hey, who am I to say no, right? So I got to go real fast. Gas. Pop that. Toss it into the elevator as well. Let the doors close. Let it go upstairs.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now we go find ourselves, the stairs.
Okay. So you guys walk down a series of winding corridors past various hotel rooms on this floor. Takes you about 2 or 3 minutes to get to one end of the floor. When you get to that end, there's an emergency exit, which is basically the stairs that you can go through. You go through the door. There's stairs ascending up to the penthouse. There's stairs ascending down. Obviously, you're going to go upstairs. I just need to know in which order you're going.
I'll go first.
Okay. So
I'm last.
Pete's going first. Maya's going last.
I'll go second.
Heinrich's going second, and Timothy is directly in front of Maya. Okay. What are each of you armed with at this point, please?
Oh, I'll go back with my water. Oldie but goodie.
Okay, what are you armed with, please, Maya?
Well, I still have the ornate dagger and that little tiny gun I got a couple of episodes back.
Okay, and Pete, what do you have right now?
At the high point that I usually have with me.
Fair enough. Okay. So, you ascend the stairs. You get to the top of the stairs. Pete is in the lead, and Pete opens the door, and the hallway is filled with smoke. So yes, what Heinrich had intended to happen has happened. Now, you start to make your way down the hallway.
There should be a secondary effect with the
Yeah,
smoke, with a can of smoke and the gotta go gas. That should have also set off the fire alarms.
yes, I was getting there. So as you start to make your way down the hallway, you will get about 5 feet down the hallway towards the penthouse suite, and suddenly the fire alarms start to go off. Okay? So now you've got the fire alarms going off, the hallway is filled with smoke, and in the middle of the hallway is the two sets of doors that lead into the penthouse suite. Now, what I need from each of you is to give me a quick roll, please.
Three.
Damn ads.
I'm at 2.
Okay,
3.
okay.
3.
So, Pete, you're in lead, so you will see this first, okay? As you start to make your way through the smoke, visibility is going to be a little, limited, okay? But the closer you get to the penthouse suite, you see a couple of individuals in suits that are, I can't believe I'm going to say this, for lack of a better term, are defecating right there against the wall because
Yeah.
Heinrich's gotta go gas is effective shit.
No kidding.
Okay, so these guys these guys are not in any condition to put up any resistance if they were even going to put up resistance. They're just there was no warning. 1 minute, they were guarding this suite, and the next minute they were emptying themselves like their lives depended on it. Okay, so
Wow.
Wow.
I hate to say
Crazy.
this, but this is turning out to be a shitty adventure.
oh my
You
god.
think?
So, anyways,
Uh,
Brother Timothy is just between Heinrich and Maya, and he screams, "Oh my God, what have you done?" He starts to say that's brother, and then before he could even finish the sentence, the waft of what's coming out of these two individuals hits
Oh,
hits all of you square in the face. Now,
lovely.
I need each of you to give me a. Well, actually, I want to determine which one I'm going to link this one to.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go with quick. I need each of you to give me a quick roll, please.
Are you
technically, this
serious?
doesn't bother me, obviously.
Yeah, Heinrich has smelled this a few times before.
Technically, my quick is 1.
Okay.
Well, okay, so I'm at 0. Can I use a fate point to reroll? I'd like to get something a little higher.
That's
I got a 5.
okay. So
Oh, jeez.
you're fine.
I could
Heinrich,
be.
you're fine. Maya, if you want to blow a fate point, that's up to you.
Yes, I'm gonna blow a fate point because I see where this is heading if I don't.
It could be a worse fail.
Yeah, it could be worse. Yes. Okay, I'm at 4 now.
Okay. Well, the two of you have been around Heinrich enough over the last 48 hours to be able to put up with his particular kind of shit.
Yes, I think so.
Brother Timothy, on the other hand, has not. So,
Oh, poor thing. I
so,
feel sorry for him.
so Timothy is coming up behind Heinrich and Pete. He screams, "Oh my God, what have you done? That's brother!" And then it hits him right in the face, and he just loses the contents of his stomach right there on the floor.
Gosh,
Okay, so
nasty.
you've
Okay.
you've now got two of the brothers, or what Timothy tried to tell you were members of the Brotherhood, that are emptying their insides directly against a wall. And you've got the
Mhm.
third guy puking on his hands and knees. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
where do you want to go from here?
Toss the dissipator. So it's a little vial that I'll have, similar to a mini gas grenade, but
Okay,
this will neutralize everything
so it's in the
except
elevator.
whatever's already being inhaled,
Yeah,
because you can't really. It's already.
it's in the elevator right now. So what I need to know
Yes.
is, how are you tossing it? Like, you're in the
No, I
mid.
don't need to worry about it. It's just into the hallway. We don't need to worry about what's in the
So
elevator.
okay, so you're tossing something else, a dissipator. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
So, how long will it take for this dissipator to act?
couple seconds.
Okay,
It's instantaneous.
okay. So
So
you toss the dissipator. It takes a couple seconds, and things start to clear up.
air's clear.
Okay, the air is clear. Okay. Um.
No, it's not. But visibility is good though.
Yeah. So, um. This is a shitty situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So Timothy is
Excuse
um, feeling really ill at this point.
me.
These
Oh, poor thing.
these two security guards that he tried to tell you were members of the Brotherhood have lost it up against the side of the wall, so they're keeled over at this point.
Oh, they're
Uh,
regretting every moment of their lives. Yes.
yeah, pretty much. So at this
You know what? They're
point,
incapacitated. We don't have
yep,
to worry about them.
exactly. So at this point, you can either wait for Timothy to come to terms with what just happened, or the three of you can enter the penthouse suite on your own.
Enter the penthouse.
Okay?
Mhm.
And who's going in?
Timmy will come around.
Yep, who's going in first?
I'll go in
Me.
first. Sure, if Heinrich wants to.
Okay, fine.
Sure.
Heinrich's going in first.
Hmm.
So you open the door, you walk in, and sitting there in the middle of the room is a petite woman who appears to be in her mid to late 30s from physical appearance. She has olive skin, she has brunette hair, a very radiant glow about her. And as the three of you enter the room, she looks up at you and she says, "I've been expecting you."
Hmm.
And she invites you to come in and sit down. Um,
No, we have somewhere to go. Let's go. We're going on a trip.
I must protest. I am not going anywhere with you, sir.
Well then, Uzma will be here probably within the next 20 minutes. You can deal with him.
The woman looks at you and she says, "Mr. Uzma has known where I am for quite some time."
Yes, but he's been after us.
"Oh yes, yes, he has been after you indeed, Heinrich. You are correct." And she says, "I'm fully aware of you and who you are and what you do, and I'm aware of your associates." She looks directly at Maya and she says, "Doctor, it's good to see you again."
Again?
Maya, give me a clever roll, please.
Okay. Clever roll. Hold on. So -1. I'm at 2.
Okay. So Maya, you're going to earn a fate point now. Okay?
Oh,
She
cool. Okay.
she looks at you and she says, "Doctor, it's good to see you again. But by your presence here, I assume that things did not go as we planned." So, Maya, she no sooner says that to you than you immediately start to have a very vivid memory. The memory begins with you
Mhm.
sitting across the table in a cafe from Joseph Uzma, who says that he wants to hire you to vet the authenticity of a find in Egypt. He says if this trinket is what he believes it to be, that it will be very beneficial, dare he say life changing for everybody involved in this find. You then remember getting on a plane and traveling to Egypt, where you were met at the airport by two individuals in finely tailored suits. They ushered you into a car, and that car drove you to a warehouse. When you entered the warehouse, there was a table sitting there waiting for you, a table and a chair. You sat down at the table. You were asked to wait there for what seemed like forever. Finally, someone emerged from the shadows of the warehouse with a briefcase in their hand. They brought the briefcase to you. They opened the briefcase, and in that briefcase was a small amulet. The amulet was in the shape of a tree of life. They said, Dr. Mr. Uzma has asked that you authenticate the age of this amulet. You said to the individual, this trinket looks like anything that you would buy in any jewelry store. There is no value to this. The individual in question looked at you and said, take a closer look at it, doctor. Please, what do you have to lose? You're being paid either way. So they sat you down with some documentation and they sat you down with some appraising equipment, and you were shocked at what you found. Although this amulet that they had presented you with appeared to be fairly modern, the minerals and materials in this amulet, when you took a closer look at it through inspection, were a contradiction in terms. The age of this amulet seemed to be well over 400 years, and you couldn't explain it. You were aghast at what you had just discovered. You explained this. You said to the individuals in front of you, this can't be accurate. This defies logic. It defies comprehension. They said, what have you found? And you said, everything that I'm looking at makes this appear to be over 400 years old. They quickly closed the suitcase. They locked it up. They said, Doctor, thank you very much. That's all we needed to hear. Please get in the car. We'll take you to the accommodations that Mr. Uzma has prepared for you, and we'll fly you home tomorrow with Mr. Uzma's thanks. You got in the car. You were driven to a very posh hotel. You stayed in the hotel for the evening. You had an alert pop up on your phone. A deposit had recently been made to your personal bank account for the sum of $150,000. Your fee paid by Joseph Uzma for doing the authentication that he requested. Midway through the evening, there was a knock at your door. You went to the door. You asked who it was. You opened the door when you heard a gentleman's voice on the other side of the door, who knew who you were by name. He said, Doctor, I've been sent here by a mutual friend regarding the authentication you did earlier today. You open the door. On the other side of the door, you see a gentleman who you will now realize, once this memory has completed, was Pete Gallagher. The individual at the door says, "My name's Peter Gallagher." He says, "I've been sent here by a friend regarding the authentication that you did earlier today. Do you have a few minutes to speak with my benefactor?" You agreed to speak with them. Gallagher looked around the corner to make sure no one had followed them here, and then he ushered the individual into the room. The individual that entered the room was a small, petite woman with an olive complexion and brunette hair who appeared to be in her mid to late 30s. She sat you down and she told you a story that was unbelievable, a story that defied comprehension. In that story, she told you that she was not of this reality, not of this world. She introduced herself as Skuld. She told you such an unbelievable story that it required you to have several drinks that evening to even begin to comprehend what she was telling you. By the end of the evening, she had explained to you that things were not as they appeared, and that in this particular case, Joseph Uzma could never be allowed to take possession of that amulet. She explained to you not to worry about the amulet, that arrangements were being made at this time to relieve him of it and return it to its rightful owner, her. Collect a fate point, please, Maya.
Collected.
Okay. So she looks at you. You are now back in reality. This memory has come flooding over you.
Wow.
Okay. She says, "The fact that you are here, doctor, tells me that things have not gone as planned." She then looks over at Pete and she says, "Mr. Gallagher, I'm hoping that you can explain that to me." Pete, you're also going to collect a fate point because as soon as she says that to you, you are also going to have a memory come flooding back to you. You were in the employ of an individual that you were charged with protecting in Egypt, a .com billionaire. Now, you had been hired by someone who you believed to be a longtime friend and associate by the name of Brian Landry to protect this individual. One evening, you and Landry are sitting down just outside the private residence of this individual, having drinks and talking about the good old days, when Landry says to you, "You know, there's got to be more to life than this. You know, we make good money, but this isn't me. This isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life." He looks at you, he says, "What about you, Gallagher? Do you have any aspirations for the future?" You said, "No, I'm happy doing what I do right now for the time being." Then Landry looks at you and he says, "Yeah, but don't you want more out of life?" You shrugged your shoulders and you said, "Well, maybe one day, but I'm happy with the way things are right now." He goes, "Yeah, yeah, that's you, I suppose. That's always been you." Then he looks at the clock and he says, "You know, it's about time for one of us to do our rounds again." He goes, "Isn't it your turn?" As he takes another swig of whiskey. He goes to stand up, he slumps back into the chair, and you look at him and you go, "Brian, you're in absolutely no condition to do shit right now. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." You get up, you do your rounds. Part of your rounds is to actually check in on the well-being of your employer. You get to your employer's residence, you knock on the door, there's no answer, which is unusual because This individual you're protecting is usually very friendly, very quick to invite you in, to show hospitality to you. But you knock on the door and there's dead silence. You knock on the door again and you say, "Sir, are you okay?" Again, there's dead silence. This doesn't sit well with you, so you try the doorknob. The doorknob is unlocked. You open the door. You walk in cautiously, and there in the middle of the living room, you find your employer dead on the floor. You survey his body. The very first thing you find on his body is an injection point on his neck where a needle
Mm.
has previously been inserted. You grab your radio, you start to call for help. Behind you, you hear, "Wow, wow, wow, look here. What a fine mess you've put us in this time." You turn around, you look over your shoulder. There's Landry standing there with his hand on a gun. You say, "I found him like this. Get help." He looks at you. He says, "Oh, there's no helping that poor bastard, and there's no helping you." He picks up his radio. He radios into the radio. He says, "Quick, send help. The boss is dead." And Gallagher killed him. He immediately pulls his gun and he puts two in the body of your former employer. Then he points the gun at you and he says, "Too bad you won't be here to tell your side of the story." You quickly row out of the way before he has a chance to pull the trigger. You have two choices at this point. You go through him or you go around him. The only way to go around him is to go through the window on the other side of the room. You weigh your options quickly. You go through the window on the other side of the room. You tumble down a hill behind the residence. The last thing you remember that evening is hitting your head as you reach the bottom of the hill. A couple days go by before you regain consciousness. When you regain consciousness, the first face you see is that of a young petite woman with olive complexion and long brunette hair. She welcomes you back to the world of the living and she says, "My name is Skuld. And Mr. Gallagher, I need your help. But before I can convince you to help me, first I need to tell you a story that will seem somewhat unbelievable, but I assure you, everything that I'm about to tell you is true." Over the next 2 days, she tells you a story about her, who she is, how she does not belong in this reality, why reclaiming this amulet that she has lost is so very important, not just to her, but to the world as a whole. She tells you that this amulet was last known to be in the safekeeping of your former employer, and that forces are now at play that will put that amulet in the hands of an individual by the name of Joseph Uzma, an individual that should never be allowed to possess that type of power. She ultimately convinces you of the righteousness of her mission, and she tells you that she absolutely needs your help in reclaiming this amulet, that she now knows has been authenticated by an archaeologist, and that Uzma cannot again be allowed to possess this power. She tells you that she needs you to arrange a meeting with this archaeologist. You track this archaeologist down to a very posh hotel. Under the cover of night and at absolute risk to your own safety, you sneak Skuld into this hotel, which is currently being patrolled by members of Landry's group. You get into the hotel, you bring Skuld face to face with an archaeologist by the name of Maya, and over the next 3 hours, the three of you devise a plan to relieve Uzma of this trinket before he can reshape reality as you all know it. Greg, claim your fate point, please.
Okay.
So, she looks at you and she says, the fact that you are here now, Mr. Gallagher, tells me that things did not go as we planned. So, I assure all of you that Mr. Uzma has known where I am for months. The only reason he would want access to me is for any information he believes that I may hold about the whereabouts of my amulet. Unfortunately, the fact that the three of you are standing here before me means that he has started to piece the puzzle together, and he realizes that my involvement is no longer as important as he once believed it was. Give me a quick row, all of you, please.
Okay.
3.
Crawl. Oh, jeez.
-1.
Thank you.
0.
Okay, so Pete, you're gonna be the one to hear it first. This exchange has only taken a couple of minutes since everything played out in the hallway. However, now Brother Timothy has come slumping through the door. What have you all done? And all over the floor again. Timothy's messed up. He
Someone put him out of his misery.
he wipes his mouth to clean off the residue. He looks across the room past all of you at Skuld and he says, "Goddess, forgive me." She walks by the three of you. She walks up to Timothy and she says, "There's no need for forgiveness. This is
That guy.
She says, this is of course as the fates have willed it, my child. Thank you for bringing them to me. Although the timing is not exactly what I would have preferred. Where is Brother Jones? What has happened to your brotherhood?" Timothy takes a minute or two to explain the events of the past evening. She looks more and more concerned as the tale is relayed to her by Timothy about the murder of the multiple members of the Brotherhood and the fact that certain members were involved in that betrayal. She comforts him for a minute. She turns around, she looks at the three of you and she goes, "Well, this in fact does now change a few things. I agree with you. Now would be a good time for us to make our exit." So, she's now willing to go with the three of you after Timothy told her his story. How do you want to make your exit?
Problem is, Uzma's already on the way.
Maybe.
It's too late. I mean, we dawdled here for 15 minutes. Uzma's like 5 minutes away. What do you want to do? Well, nothing we can do.
Okay.
So we go down the stairs.
You're going down the stairs. Okay. So
Yes.
as you exit the suite, the two individuals that were guarding the front doors have started to regain their composure.
Oh, hell no. No, I don't think so.
Well, they've regained their composure enough that they're starting to prop themselves up. Now, she stops dead in her tracks as she walks through the door, looks at the two of them who are trying to prop themselves back up. She turns around, she looks directly at Heinrich, and she says, "Ah, your work, I see. Doctor, you're
I
very
could
good.
have killed them.
You're very good about bringing chaos with you, aren't you?" She looks at you when you say, "Well, I could have killed them," and she says, "Yes, you could have, but in this particular case, I'm afraid we're going to need them." She leans down, she says to them, "Guard our exit." And then she turns to you and she says,
Red shirts. Let's go.
There's the elevator and then there's two stairwells. Might I recommend the
We walk.
stairwells?"
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I
Yeah.
said.
So the question now becomes, do you want to go down the same stairwell you came up, or do you
Nope.
want to go down the other stairwell?
Other stairwell.
Okay, fair enough. So you walk to the
We
other
go
end.
down 3 flights.
That's fine. So you walk to the other end of the hallway. You go down 3 flights uninterrupted. Okay. You get to the bottom set of stairs on the uh, third floor down from the penthouse. Now, you can either go and try and grab an elevator from there, or you can
Service
go
elevator.
service elevator. Okay. Tell me, where is the service elevator on this floor, please, Heinrich?
It's on the other side of the standard elevators.
Okay, so you're invoking an aspect. Perfect. This will cost 1 fate point, please. So
Okay.
you
I'm
make
down to like 2 now.
fair enough. So you make your way to the service elevator. Um, each of you give me a quick roll, please.
Okay.
6. I roll a 3.
Ooh, 3.
Okay.
I have a 3. Ooh.
Quick.
Yes, please.
+1.
Okay. So Pete's going to be the first one to hear this. As you're getting on the service elevator and you push the button to make your way down, as the doors begin to close, Pete, you will immediately hear the sound of semi-automatic gunfire coming from above you. Okay?
3 floors up, man.
Yep, 3
Who won't hear
floors.
it?
Oh, he heard it. He heard it through the elevator shaft.
Okay, whatever.
So there's definitely a fight taking place up there. Now you begin to make your way down to the lobby, I'm assuming, or are you
Nope.
going somewhere else?
Basement.
You're going to the
Basement.
basement. Okay. So you make it down to the basement. The doors open, and then you start to hear alarms going off through the building. There's an announcement made by hotel security advising staff and uh, residents of the hotel that there is a security situation playing out within the walls of the hotel and requesting that you remain in your rooms until further notice as the police are on their way. So, you're in the basement. Where are you headed from here?
SUV time. Let's get out of here.
Okay. So you will have to go down a series of service corridors. It will take you about 5 minutes to get to the end of the corridor where you need to exit. You're going to exit on the side of the building into an alleyway. Okay. When you come through the emergency exit door, there's going to be a small flight of stairs on your right-hand side that will lead up to the alleyway. There's like 4 or 5 steps you have to go up to get to the alleyway. Who's exiting the building first, please? Pete?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, Pete's exiting first. So you exit the building. Give me a quick roll, please, Pete, as you exit the building and make your way up those stairs.
5.
5, perfect. You make it through the door. You just start to make your way up the stairs, and you start to see police cars racing down the street at the end of the alleyway. The police have arrived. Okay. Um, you do remember, of course, that Uzma seems to have some influence with the police. So I would advise that whatever your next move is going to be, it's done very quickly.
How close are we to my theater?
To your theater, I would say 7 city blocks.
7 blocks. That's it.
Yep, 7 blocks.
Sure, we can make it to the theater. I got a spare vehicle there. It's fine.
Oh, okay. So the 4.
Stay under cover.
Yep.
Stay on the side streets.
That's fine. So the 5 of
Leave
you.
the vehicle.
The 5 of you exit the building with Pete in the lead. You head in the opposite direction of the police activity, and you make your way back towards Heinrich's theater. Okay? It will take you approximately 20 to 25 minutes to hoof it there while remaining aware of everything that's going on around you. You get to the theater. Heinrich obviously will take you in through the entrance of his, the entrance of his choice. When you get into the theater, obviously you lock it up. Skuld looks at all of you and she says, "We need to begin planning for the retrieval of my medallion." And she says, "First of all, I need to know where that medallion is." And she looks directly at Maya and Pete when she says that. I'm assuming you're both giving her blank looks?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she says, "So, looks to me like neither of you remember what's transpired here." She says, "Let's start by seeing what we can do about jogging your memories."
Okay.
And guys, that's where we're going to wrap this game session. So that's the end of episode 10 of As Fate Would Have It. Thanks as always to Anthony, Chris, and Greg for joining us. And check back in a couple weeks for episode 11. Until then, take it easy, stay safe, and ciao.